With Sam Moelis at his club, Brooklyn Bridge Fencing Club. Sam, you're having an amazing year. Tell us a little bit about it.
Yeah, this year has definitely been pretty crazy. Nothing that I ever expected before. This all has to do with the training that I'm doing over here at Brooklyn Bridge. It's by far unlike anything that I've ever done before. I was at a club in Long Island for about 8 years, and I thought that was the training. You know, I was 5 minutes away. I'd ride my bike over there after school. I'd sit around, chill for 6 hours, and train, and go home, and that was it. And I got results as a 14-year-old in Y14 and Y12, and then I kind of hit this peak where I didn't do anything in the junior division or senior division, Division 1, and all of a sudden I'm coming to this club for less time. I'm coming one day less. I'm coming 5 days a week, and I'm for 3 hours instead of 6 hours, and all of a sudden I'm seeing results just come by, especially this year, and I think it has to do with the caliber of the work that I'm doing here at the club.
So you talk about the quality versus quantity and how transformative your transition to Brooklyn Bridge Fencing Club has been. What is it that's done differently here that's been so productive for you?
What's done differently here is, like we talk about, the professionalism. This is what training is. You know, at my other club where I was at, it was everything really seemed to be centered around how to do well as a younger fencer, as how to win Y12 and Y14 competitions. And now that I'm at this club, you have a lot of resources. We have Dan, who has traveled all over the world, and Olympian, and also Race, who's now traveling all over the place, everything like that. And they bring all the resources that they get when they travel back to the club, and they instill that in all the training and the lessons and the footwork and everything that we do here. It's an international club, it feels like. This is what training is.
So it sounds like here there's just an expectation that it doesn't matter what you're going to do as a youth, it's about being good at an international level and for a long time.
Yeah, that's very true. And you get respect here not from your results. You get respect here based on how much work you put in. You know, if you put in so much work here at the club, and you come in and you train and you listen and you behave and you do what you're supposed to do, and you go out and you don't get a great result, it sucks, but no one is on top of you here. What people notice, what Dan notices, and Henry and Brendan, the other coaches here, is the work that you put in, and that's the most important.
And you've obviously been putting in a lot of work to be producing the results that you have this year. Tell us a little bit about your outstanding results in your current rankings.
I started when I first came to Brooklyn Bridge. I had never made a top 32 in juniors, and I had never made a top 32 in Division 1. I made one top 32 before, but I had never done anything prior to that. And what's funny is that I was always winning my own division. All the Y14 competitions, I was winning all of those, and I didn't know how to fence the older guys. And all of a sudden I'm coming here and I'm training with Race and Dan and the other fencers here, and I'm seeing that I'm doing, actually, ironically, I'm doing better in the older divisions in Division 1 and juniors, and I'm having more trouble on the cadet level. And when I first came to the club, I was top 10 in cadet, I believe. I was top 40 in juniors, and I had just lost my points on the Division 1 points list, so I wasn't on the Division 1 points list. And as of now, I believe I'm number 1 in cadet in the country, and then in juniors I'm number 2, and then in Division 1 I am not exactly sure. I believe I'm top 10. I'm not sure.
So wow, really tearing it up at every level and continuing to build in Div 1.
Yeah.
Excellent. And outside of fencing, it's my understanding that, well, actually within fencing, that you're a bit of a gambler, and on occasion you can be found losing bets throughout the club. Tell us a little bit about this side of you.
When I was at Five Towns, which is the name of my club, it wasn't just that. I mean, I almost felt as if I was the king there, that no one could say anything to me, that I could do whatever I wanted. And now I'm coming to this club, and I brought the same mentality. Race would come up to me and he'd say stuff to me, and when I first came in, and I was like, this doesn't really happen. And especially Dan will just say things to me, like he'll make bets, something that I think, oh, like will be incredibly easy that I will just win. So the first mistake I made was the first bet that I took with him was before I in juniors. I had never made it past this round of 16. I had never medaled in a junior event. And before we go to the competition, Dan says to me, he's like, I bet you that if you come in, I bet that you will come in top 3 in juniors or Division I. And if you do that, then I can decide when you get your next haircut. So I was like, yeah, sure. Because I don't know why, because that's pretty much saying if I do well, then I'll pay you. So, something around those lines. So, and to be honest, I had never done well, so I was like, okay, and this will be an easy win. I can just decide when Dan gets his next haircut. And then I go, and I ended up coming in 3rd in juniors, which I had never done before. So I had to spend my entire summer growing out my hair. It got about this long, and it turned into it wasn't a bet anymore. It became very emotional, and this was a test of my manhood and my strength and who I was as a person. And I had to go into Dan. I had to beg, but I wasn't allowed to beg because then it increased the time. And I think the most recent bet was I fenced in my first senior World Cup, and he bet that I don't remember that I would make the top 64, and I wasn't able to do it, and I just make really stupid bets. Yeah.
Another bet I heard about was a red light, green light bet, and the consequence.
Okay, red light, green light is a very simple game. It's not a hard game. The person turns around, you run to the end, and that's the end of it. So Dan says, okay. Well, I first come to the club. He's like, we're playing red light, green light. I'm like, okay, let's go on guard. Let's do red light, green light. And it's the hardest game I've ever done in my entire life. It's really, really hard. But I originally thought that it was going to be really easy. So it was around September. No, it was earlier. September. And I said to Dan, and I said, I'll bet you whatever you want that I will win red light, green light twice by the end of December. Because it's red light, green light, I'll get it by the end of December. And I have yet to win once, and that was almost 2 years ago, and I have not yet won. And just yesterday, I did red light, green light with a bunch of little kids, 10 or 11 years old, and I lost to a 9-year-old. And because I lost that bet, I had to wear, there's a girl at our club, Zoe Superville, I had to wear her short shorts for a full week. They were about up to here. But in general, I have a bad habit of pulling up my shorts in general, so those were a little higher, but it got worse because I had to wear them over my knickers as well. So Dan has plenty of pictures of me fencing with knickers, but also short shorts on, and I had to take lessons, and they're short here, standing up straight, but when you get on guard, those things ride right up. Yeah, and Dan will always say to me, no one ever treated me like this at 5 towns. Because it's true, no one treated me like this at 5 towns.
All right, man. Well, hopefully we can score some of those photos and share them on our On Point Instagram account. But until then, we wish you the very best with not just your fencing, but also your betting success.
Thank you very much.
Good luck to you, Sam. Thanks again.
You.